Hi there. So, academic education versus experience. Well, I'm 53 years old. I'm currently in Medellin, Colombia, but I've lived in 15 countries. I've visited maybe 30. I did go to a college, a business college in San Francisco, and I immediately had friction, not for a lack of capacity or ability, but because it was it was a business college. Okay, so even though I'm a business English teacher and I've worked with professionals around the world, I'm very much an autodidact, meaning I've taught myself. My mother was a doctorate of education, and my father was a self-taught radio and television engineer from around the world. Both of them have passed away. Both of them were workaholics. Both of them worked themselves into early graves. Okay, my ex-wife had 2 master's degrees and $250,000 in debt. I do not have 2 master's degrees, and I am not $250,000 in debt. So, now, this is the age of the internet, and I started with a Commodore 64. Okay, so I've been through the whole technology boom. Even at 53, I still skateboard, right? Skateboarding is part of my experience. It's part of my story. Bombing hills in San Francisco, skating with the best. You can't take that from me. You can't take my 10 years of experience teaching the highest level of Cambridge English in Europe, being offered directorships at both schools. I always get promoted, usually, or I quit. But my point is that even most employers these days, look, if you can do the work and you can explain yourself and present yourself well enough and you know what you're talking about, you're not trying to BS people, then your experience is more valuable than a diploma. It kills me, I don't even know how many times I covered my ex-wife's loan payments for that, $250K. I never had that issue, right? But there's a lot to be said for the college experience. I had a lot of friends that worked at places like Microsoft or their partners in construction firms, master's degree in project management, things like this. Good for them. Wonderful. Fantastic. I work with and I coach professionals with jobs that it's not that I couldn't do them, it's that they're in a particular structure and field that's highly specialized. They can't do what I do around the world, right? So they might have a more quote-unquote stable life, and I get that, but they're forever in fear of losing their jobs, okay? Because I've been able to stack skills. I can go from being a writer to being a course creator to working in a really high-end pizza restaurant just because I wanted to learn how mozzarella is made. Now, could I teach myself how mozzarella is made? Sure, of course. But it was great working with professionals because I could do that, right? But what does the mozzarella maker do at the end of the day? So, these are all things to consider. If you like reading and you love learning and you love researching, you can answer your own questions, right? Also, we have a lot of universities these days are very much into social issues and engineering students with either constructive or destructive thoughts and structures, and it's very difficult for them to see outside of these presented dogmas. Because I've been able to live in so many different countries, both as a child and adult, I get to see all sorts of things from many different views. Okay, so for example, what you might be learning in an American university socially might not translate to living in Colombia, for example, or next week I'll be in Buenos Aires. Okay, so I'm gonna have to tell you, this depends on your personality, what's important for you. Okay, now let me give you an example. I have this wonderful student from the middle of nowhere in China. Okay, I've worked with this gentleman many times. He's a pilot. Okay, this pilot flies Airbus airplanes, right, for Chinese airline. Well, he has an opportunity possibly to fly for another company, but outside of China, and because they exclusively fly Airbus. This gentleman can only fly planes, and he can only fly planes that are Airbus. Now, he could probably get other certifications and qualifications to fly Boeing planes, for example. I mean, planes basically work the same, but it's a different interface, right? We have to take that into consideration, right? But he can't do anything else. So we have an old saying, and I wanted to look this up the other day. Specialization is for insects. Now, I don't entirely agree with that. This guy is a wonderful gentleman, but what else can he do? He can continue flying for this airline company in his home country, or he might be able to fly for another company, but only with the same airline platform. Okay? This gentleman can't do anything else. He can't pivot, right? He can't stack skills the way I can. I'm a Google certified SEO. I've written for national marketing firms. I've done product descriptions and lead generation for international companies. I've written 4 books. I teach online. I can coach. I can make videos. I build my own websites and platforms, right? But I can also chop down a tree, and I built my own house from the ground up, right? I also have 20 years in real estate, right? I've been a nationally certified home inspector. I work for master appraisers and the top earning broker in all of Seattle, commercial broker, right? So I have a wealth of experience that Chinese pilot will never have, okay? And though this guy is just dedicated. I love that. I mean, he's a fantastic guy, just super, super great guy, right? And has worked hard to develop his English. But there is one shot for him. Think about that. Think about that while you're declaring your major. And I also want you to consider the fact that the average American, and I'm not going to footnote this statistic, but I read it, so I'm going to share it with you, that the average American changes their career 7 times. So why would you want to spend X hundreds of thousands of dollars to get a political science degree, which is probably what I would have done. So I would have gotten a poli-sci degree, right? And then what? Used it how? Work for the State Department? The CIA? Right? I can do a million things. I can repair my own car. I've done it. I've fixed many problems, right? Thank you, YouTube. So hopefully this answers your question by presenting you with other questions, right? The Socratic method. Ask yourself, are you sure that you want to do one thing for the rest of your life? Maybe have the opportunity to pivot into another field, because everybody does. Understanding that your career most likely will change if given the opportunity, or just by experiencing boredom, or actually losing a position, or having a particular field that you studied for collapse, right? I remember when I was in business school, they were teaching me Lotus 1, 2, 3 for spreadsheets. Lotus 1, 2, 3, right? So why did I pay for that? It's archaic. It's outdated. It's nonsensical, right? In this information age, why wouldn't you capitalize on information, right? So hopefully that answers your question from my opinion. Now, what's right for me is most certainly what's not right for you, but you need to figure that out. Just, it could be an expensive decision to make with a whole lot less freedom. Thank you. From Medellin, Colombia, my name's Andrew Moore. Any questions, put them in the comments, and you can visit my site, and maybe we can work together if you need it. Okay? Thank you. Fantastic. Have a great day.